What's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I am your host. Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota, and I am so delighted to be back. I was away from my home, away from my lovely wife, Lady Rackets, away from my studio. I could not record. I was held hostage by the state of Texas. And by held hostage, I mean I voluntarily had to travel to the state of Texas. And so I was not here since Friday. And I have missed you all. I've missed you all. I was hoping to do a stream last night, but the weather has decided that I wasn't going to. So that, oh my gosh. That is why, I have a hair in my mouth. That is why I did not do this stream last night, which is what I was gonna do. But here we are. Am I drunk already? No, I have not had a drink since the last live stream. So that was Friday night. But I am going to start off with you fine folks this evening with this freezing cold bottle of Johnny Walker White. And the main reason I'm drinking this absolute trash fire of a whiskey is because I want to get it out of my freezer. So we're going to have some of that. This is gross. So tonight we're going to cover, in just a few minutes, we'll get started. Let people trickle in. This is the nature of the live stream, is people kind of trickle in as the show starts up. So bear with me for just a minute. We'll do some little housekeeping stuff and news before we get started. But we will be covering Gavin McInnes versus the Southern Poverty Law Center, which the legal experts at TechDirt have called, how did they label this? Gavin McInnes files laughably silly defamation lawsuit against Southern Poverty Law Center. And that was written by Mike Masnick. And he's fully expecting the comment section to be run by folks. Let's see, this article to be overrun by the same type of folks who showed up after I criticized supposed free speech warrior Jordan Peterson when he filed a BS defamation case against a university after some of that university's employees suggested Peterson was similar to Hitler and compared him to a white supremacist. So I'm not going to read the TechDirt article, but that is what they have said about it. That's all I've read of it, was what I just read to you also. Who knows? Let's see. So, couple housekeeping things. Of course, if you want to interact with me, you can do so via Super Chat through YouTube or the preference of the channel. But, you know, what you guys do is always appreciated. But the preference for me is that you would interact with the Justice Chat link in the description, as that doesn't go through YouTube and they don't take any money out of it, which is nice because I don't really think YouTube deserves any money. But, you know, that's me. It's me. Like I said, either one is fine and fully appreciated. All will be read on stream. Oh, and shout out to my dudes at Stream Me. Let me pull up your chat. I'm still waiting for an update to my layout on screen so I can get so I can get the Stream Me chat to appear live at the same time as the YouTube chat, but I need a little bit of formatting changes. And unfortunately, the Restream chat, which was doing that, is trash. It just doesn't keep up. So I am very sorry that is not ready yet, but I will be, I'm working on it, if that makes sense. I'm working on it. But yeah, so I do appreciate, of course, the viewers over at Stream Me. And as that comes out, we will have both of them running on screen in tandem. And that'll be great. That'll be great. So the other thing, of course, is the merch. Everyone wants me to shill the merch, so I'm going to do that at the top of the show here before we get like really into it. And let me pull up the merch page. A lot of people have bought the Smug mug and the Smug t-shirt. So I really do appreciate that. That is awesome. Let me see. Hold on. I'm getting it pulled up here. Let me put this over here. So here is the 1 second. Let me just go ahead and I do the sound effects for myself. Here's the store on Teespring. It's linked in the description. You can find things like the Smug mug, the Smug sticker, Rekieta Law hoodies. You can find Single Malt Justice. That's the new Smug t-shirt I was talking about. And of course, this is reality, not Twitter, you giant idiot. So those are there. I appreciate... Oh, there's also stickers of that. I appreciate anything you want to buy. If you don't want to buy it, thank you for bearing with me through the whatever, like this advertisement or whatever it is. Yeah, and if you guys want something different, let me know. If you like merch and you want to see some specific type of merch, tell me. If I can make it, I will. That said, there are a couple chats that have come in right away, and then we'll get started. Oh, that is filthy. God, it's the worst whiskey. Ugh. Guys, I have not run into many whiskeys that I just don't like at all. That's one of them. God, it's just disgusting. Yuck. Blah. Okay. Don't ever buy it. I mean, don't buy Johnny Walker anyway, because of course they did the Jane Walker whiskey or whatever, virtue signaling to the like 5 women out there who do buy whiskey. Yeah, okay. Don't drink it. Don't drink it. Oh, it's sorry, some of you weren't here. It's Johnny Walker White Walker. It's the Game of Thrones special edition whiskey. They recommend you freeze it, and the reason they recommend that you freeze it is because if you drank it at room temperature, you would kill yourself out of shame. God, it's disgusting. Okay. Oh. An underbarrel assault smirk shirt. We'll see. Oh my gosh. Clay Early, get bullied. Get bullied. All right, let's read through these chats, and then I think we'll get into it at that point. Oh, I do have an update on the 15,000 subscriber stream, which is falling so far into the dust. Jason Benaim says, good job starting on time and not goofing up the intro. Well, I feel like I started a little late, but I didn't goof up the intro, so that was nice. Wait, no, I did. Oh, I get it. Thank you. Mither Nemmer says, Dear Lady Justice, please let Gavin sue the SPLC into oblivion. We ask this in Scalia's name. Amen. Peace be upon him. And Bagel Goose says, I missed you, Toe Daddy. Missed you too, Bagel Goose. I missed you too. Let's see. Oh, and Castitatus Lilium is a new viewer over on Stream Me. Thanks for joining, buddy. Says, I don't know if this is too personal or not. Are you a lawyer with a law firm? Are you independent? I'm curious if you have your own practice or not, lol. You don't have to answer if you don't want. Yes, I am a lawyer. My law firm is me. It is a law firm under the rules of professional conduct because I conduct business, I conduct a law business, out of my office. But it is just me. I'm an independent practitioner. But yes, Rekieta Law is my law firm, and I'm really a real lawyer. So there you go. There you go. Xander's Rant says, where is your mugshot mug? I don't have a mugshot. I don't have one. Okay, so that taken care of. The 15K subscriber stream was supposed to take place the weekend of Valentine's Day. However, it looks like it's going to be the next weekend. So around the 20th to 24th, somewhere in there. I don't remember what day is the weekend, but sometime in there. I will, of course, keep you updated. Again, this is coordinating families that are multiple hours away. It's a little difficult to do, but Thank you all for your patience on that. You know, hopefully that'll be pushing into that 24,000 subscriber 24-hour live stream, which I'm not sure how or what I'm going to do yet. But okay, now that I've sufficiently burned up enough time, let's get into this. There's one more chat to go. Siren Jag says, I ordered my t-shirt. Give me my t-shirt rackets. It's February. These nipples can cut through car glass. Do you want that? Well, it depends. Am I trapped in the car? If so, your rock solid diamond nipples might be helpful. And speaking of diamond nipples, Mercedes Carrera has been arrested. Mercedes Carrera is the Gamergate favorable porn starlet who starred in such wonderful titles. Maybe I should IMDb her, but as like Moms in Control and other disgusting things. Looks like she has been tagged for 8 counts of sexual contact with a child, all felonies. 7 of them are 15-year sentences. One of them is a 25-year sentence, and also with a nice little bonus felony of possession of methamphetamines near a handgun. So gamers rise up. Gamergate 2.0 is not looking well in 2019 at the moment, but yeah, really unfortunate. In 2015, Mercedes Carrera did tweet out that she thought all pedophiles should be summarily executed to remove their genes from the population. So I don't know if she still maintains that position or not. I assume she's good at switching positions, but she is, it does not look good for her. It does not look good for her. Maybe she is innocent. We will see. She was arraigned today. She was denied bail. She did plead not guilty. So she is technically not guilty until proven innocent. And we will see how that turns out for her as time goes on. But most people don't look favorably on molesting children. And if she actually did it, then she deserves every foot of earth she is buried under. All right. Okay. Here we go. Gavin McInnes versus SPLC. I can't wait to read this. I don't care for Gavin McInnes. Like, I don't not care for him. I don't care about Gavin McInnes at all. Oh, there is one more thing I have to bring up on screen. This is an actual Facebook page, guys. This is related directly to the suit, so don't be mad at me for spending just another moment on this. Here we go. Hold on. Oh, that's if you're not aware, Gavin McInnes, I think sometime in 2017 decided to come out against radical Islam, and he thought that the best way to do so was to shove a synthetic phallus into his anus. So you got him, Gavin. You got him. But there's a Facebook group, the same picture of Gavin McInnes shoving a dildo up his anus every day. It's the same picture. Oh gosh, that's funny to me. So there you go. That's some Gavin for you. There you are. Oh, and I hope you guys can see over my shoulder. Just a little backstory. So when my wife and I bought this current house, the previous owner left us a bunch of books, and turns out she has that was way before 2017. Awesome, thank you. I don't know the lore. It turns out that the owner of the house previous to us did have Tonka's biography, was in possession of Tonka's biography. I bet you guys didn't know. If you notice over my shoulder here, you will see the biography, and I assume the resolution on your video is good enough to read it, but it is there in the background. So enjoy that. Let's get this document going here. Let's get this document going. Gonna move some chats. Oh my. Oh my. Yeah, I have no problem with Gavin using, dildoing himself. It's just funny. It was like, okay. Mithrin Emmer says Nick being a good lawyer and padding the bill by expanding on the point. Yes. There you go. All right. Let's do this, and I promised I'm going to actually start this time, so let me start. All right, so Gavin, he has hired a couple lawyers. This is Gavin McInnes versus the Southern Poverty Law Center. And as you know, if you follow this channel, I'm a huge fan of the Southern Poverty Law Center. I just think that they're great. Oh, Sigma Zero, not Sigma Zero, says, I saw that episode. This is regards to Gavin. It was supposed to be mocking Hillary Clinton. He saw her dancing on some talk show and said he could dance better if he literally had something up his anus. So there you go. There you go. Rockstar Dame didn't SC but left a nice message for you. Where? I gotta get into the where was that? Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know where it is. I gotta get into the document here. Okay. Plaintiff Gavin McInnes, by and through the undersigned counsel, as and for his complaint against the defendant, the Southern Poverty Law Center, Inc., SPLC, or defendant, hereby alleges as follows. He inserted an ad for his channel in the complaint. He did. Introduction. Gavin McInnes is a humorist, businessman, political commentator, and social critic whose work as an internet television personality is, as shown at right, billed and understood widely as satirical, meant for grown-ups and the rebellious. Rebellious is in quotes, so the ironically rebellious, I guess. McInnes, an immigrant, is an avowed and vocal opponent of discrimination based on race, religion, or sexual preference, and of ideologies and movements espousing extremism, nationalism, and white supremacy. Yeah, Gavin's got a better beard. Of course he does. In an era, Gavin must be an Irish immigrant, right? Like otherwise it'd be a funny joke if he was from like Mexico or something, but I'm guessing he's an Irish immigrant. In an era, however, where dominant institutions demand and enforce cultural and political orthodoxy, however disguised as nonconformity, Mr. McInnes, his associates, and his family have been successfully targeted for personal and professional destruction by a self-appointed enforcer of such orthodoxy, defendant SPLC, to achieve SPLC's own ideological, political, and financial, i.e. fundraising ends, as alleged further below. And Gavin would love to dildo the ends of the SPLC. I think. Mr. Kill Everything says, a related question, is Mental Jess going to jail? Probably not. My understanding is that the police didn't do anything to intervene. But, that's sometimes how it goes. And I'll say it. You can't rely on cops to protect you or even enforce existing restraining orders. You can't rely on them to do it. And now I'm sure some smart cop will come into my comments and tell me all about how cops don't have to enforce, they'll do it. Because whenever I talk about cops, I get a cop complaining. And that's fine. You aren't the bad one. You aren't the guy who wouldn't do it. I get it. But there are cops out there who wouldn't enforce a restraining order. And they went so far as to sue cops to try and enforce a restraining order in, Castle Rock v. Gonzalez, which I have covered on this stream. Most of you probably haven't seen it because it was a very early video. I'll redo it at some point. But yes, and Scalia himself ruled that police have no duty to enforce a restraining order, even one that specifically says that they do have a duty to enforce it. So no, Mental Jess is not going to jail, likely at this point in time. Next. Whoops. Robert Footpenis. Robert Hancock. If an internet comedian used screenshots to target and harass a mentally disabled person, what would the punishment be? Depends. Depends on the harassment, the level of harassment, if it was actually harassment or not. Next, Koosh says, whatever happened with Damore's lawsuit and the other, other Googler who's suing? Whole debacle is when I first started following you, thanks to Marlene. Yes, Damore has removed himself from that lawsuit because he and the other Googler who are named were both employed by Google, which means that they were subject to binding arbitration clauses that are in their employment contracts. So they removed themselves from the class action to pursue the arbitration, or not pursue, as it may be. It's hard to say. Arbitration is not public, so we won't know. However, there is still a class action only applying to unhired candidates at Google. They do still have a class action suit going on. Google has moved for demurrer to the complaint. Movement for demurrer to the complaint is basically a movement of dismissal. And so that they are having a hearing on that coming up. That news just dropped like in the past day or two. So good timing on asking because I actually know what's going on. But they will have, oh, excuse me. I had all kinds of yawns. They will have oral arguments on it later this month. Philip Stahl says the Southern purposefully lame cucks. Yes, that's the real SPLC acronym. Thank you. Nyhex says, what the F is the point of a restraining order if it's not going to be enforced? Do I just have too much faith in the legal system? Yes, to that second question. You do have too much faith in the legal system. They sometimes are enforced. The problem is just that the police have no duty to enforce them. So if they decide not to enforce it, and literally, if they choose not to enforce it because they just don't want to, like maybe they have lunch to eat, or they just decide not to do anything, they don't have to. That's the ruling of Castle Rock. That's what happened in Castle Rock. The cop decided to just not do anything about it. And all he had to do was put out an all-points bulletin because they knew that some kidnapped girls, 3 little girls who were kidnapped, there was a restraining order against the person who kidnapped them. They knew where he was. All they had to do was put out an all-points bulletin, which means literally get on the radio and say where he was at an amusement park and have anyone in the area go just look up and down the aisles to see if they find his license plate. Those 3 little girls were murdered by that man who kidnapped them that night. The cops could have stopped it, and they didn't. They knew where he was. That case rubs me a little bit wrong. I'm sorry. That was 3 murdered children because a cop wanted to go to lunch. Actually, not one cop, like 5 different cops over the course of an entire day. Anyway, you're tangenting me. Sorry. I'm going to scream about that case if I keep going. And then E hashtag exclamation point says, can you do a stream on space law? I actually might have a link to a space law expert. And so maybe. Okay. Rockstar Dane. Too broke to buy a super chat, lol. Love watching rackets and is very much someone I've decided to look up to. Wish him all the best. Hey, thanks, buddy. Back to you. Sorry I couldn't find your earlier message. If that's a repeat of it, thanks. I really appreciate that. I'm okay. Briefly, I'm mildly aware of Vic Mignogna. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Voice of Broly. I'm briefly aware of his stuff. I haven't looked into it enough to have a full opinion. But from what I understand, it would be hard for him to have a libel suit. But I'm planning on looking into it and maybe bringing someone on. So I'll keep that. I'll announce it when I do it, but I just haven't had time. Okay. Back to this stupid lawsuit. Right back to it. Interrupt me all you want, guys. Let's see. As also detailed below, the primary method SPLC uses to achieve its goals and those of its donors is by identifying activists, political figures, and groups as targets or enemies of society and designating its enemies extremists, white supremacists, hate groups, and the like. The SPLC hate designations. Although the SPLC hate designations are not empirical statements of fact. No, Gavin, no! Don't say that. Why? Why would you do that? Don't. Okay, so an element of defamation is that the statements have to be empirical statements of fact. They have to be, well, I mean, I don't know that they have to be empirical per se, but they have to be objectively provable to be true or false. So he's immediately undermining his claim with this line, bad choice, unless they're going to say generally they're not statements of fact. However, these are meant to be statements of fact. We'll see. And are frequently entirely counterfactual. The SPLC hate designations are nonetheless intended by SPLC and treated by the mainstream press, law enforcement, courts, and social media organizations not as SPLC's opinion, but rather as objective, empirical, factual determinations. Now, why? What narrative strategy is it to put that it's not a fact as the first line of that paragraph? No. Nope. That statement you reserve for argument in motion practice for the obvious dismissal motion that's coming from this. You leave that out of the, you just take out this first line. Here, let me see if I think I can highlight it for you guys. Here we go. You just take this out right here, and then you take out nonetheless, and you just start it. Let me help you with paragraph 5, Gavin. The SPLC hate designations are intended by SPLC and treated by the mainstream press, law enforcement, courts, and social media organizations not as SPLC's opinion, but rather as objective, empirical, factual determinations. You could even just take out any notion of it being an opinion and just say, are treated by these organizations as objective, empirical, factual determinations. Of course you should say that. What? I mean, VG, I see you saying it's got to be strategic. It's got to be, but what a weird strategy. Why? I understand in emotion. Okay, and guys, when you're drafting your motion arguments, you have law school writing looks like it's something called the IRAC format. Intro is I, rules is R, A, analysis, and C, conclusion. So you write every claim out in this IRAC format when you're writing motions and briefs and stuff like that. So when you get to your analysis section, as you're making your argument about how you apply the rule to the facts, you go ahead and you'll try and defeat some arguments before they're made by the other party. That's the advantage in filing first, is you go ahead and you, when you're moving, you say the other party's going to say this. The other party's going to do this, and then you can head off that argument and you can try and cut it off at the tap at the start. However, that's not for a complaint. For a complaint, you just lay it out there. Put it on the table. We'll see. Okay. One way SPLC uses the SPLC hate designations is to cause its victims to be deplatformed or deprived of access to online and in-person venues in which they were, prior to being deplatformed, able to express their views to those who choose to listen, or defunded, meaning blocked from access from both social media-based crowdfunding sources and payment processors such as both online and traditional banks and credit card companies. By leveraging its remarkable power and influence to deplatform and defund targeted groups and individuals such as Mr. McInnes, SPLC deprives those with which it disagrees, of venues in which their points of view may be expressed, of income, and ultimately of their most priceless possession, their reputations. Is that your most... Gavin, come on. Your reputation is not your most priceless possession. That's silly. Very silly to say. When you talk about being a satirist, a humorist, a provocateur, I don't think your reputation is your most priceless possession. Gavin is Canadian. He has to leave room for an apology. Okay. Here we go. SPLC's campaign against Mr. McInnes is arguably the most successful employment of its system to personally destroy those it disagrees with, but who in fact is not an extremist. Whoa. That's on ideological grounds, but not its first. That's a mess of a sentence. Okay, let me reread that. Because I know the whiskey isn't hitting me this early. SPLC's campaign against Mr. McInnes is arguably the most successful employment of its system to personally destroy those it disagrees with, but who in fact is not an extremist or on ideological grounds, but not its first. All right. They wrote something in there and then deleted it. That's the only way I can explain that sentence. There's supposed to be another portion to that statement, because that is messy. It's messy. Oh my goodness. In August 2018, at the Summit on Religious Liberty Conference of the Alliance Defending Freedom, a Christian legal group, then U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions observed as follows. All right, here we go, Jeff. I love reading statements from politicians. You know, I'm from Alabama, home of the Southern Poverty Law Center, an organization that did important work in the South, vital work at a pivotal time. As you know well, the law is only words on paper until there are people brave enough to stand up for their rights. There were hate groups in the South I grew up in. Oh. They attacked the life, liberty, and the very worth of minority citizens. Sometimes the way they word stuff's like, hello, fellow minority. Greetings. You may not know this, but I helped prosecute and secure the death penalty for a Klansman who murdered a black teenager in my state. The resulting wrongful death suit led to a $7 million verdict and the bankruptcy of the Ku Klux Klan in the South. That case was brought by the Southern Poverty Law Center. But when I spoke to ADF last year, I learned that the Southern Poverty Law Center had classified ADF as a hate group. Many in the media simply parroted it as fact. Amazon relied solely on the SPLC designation and removed ADF from its Smile program, which allows customers to donate to charities. They have used this designation as a weapon, and they have wielded it against conservative organizations that refuse to accept their orthodoxy and choose instead to speak their conscience. They use it to bully and intimidate groups like yours, which fight for the religious freedom, civil rights, and the constitutional rights of others. There you go. Next. Oh, wait. Yeah. The Sessions observed as follows. Has wielded this weapon against him to devastating effect. Wow. What is happening? Oh, wait, no, sorry. They didn't fix their indent. Okay, they have their indent the same as the block quote. I was very, very confused by that. That's weird. By the way, what are they doing with their indentations? I don't like the look of this page. Okay, so back to paragraph 10. As alleged in detail below, Mr. McInnes has brought this lawsuit because SPLC has wielded this weapon against him to devastating effect. Devastating effect. Okay, we've got Darth Bobcat says, how about a special on bird law? Best one is in PA. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Robert Hancock said, well, Mike Gam screenshotted my post publicly to disparage my name. Do I have a case? Probably not, unfortunately. But don't worry. I'm pretty sure Mike Gams has a case of several sexually transmitted infections. and will probably die from them soon. JMD Reed says, at least, I mean, it looks like he does. What's your opinion on Legal Eagle's attack on Willy Wonka? Is this a bridge too far? Can we stand for this egregious attack on our most creative candy engineer? Willy Wonka did nothing wrong. If I were Legal Eagle and were a suppositional video maker, I would think that maybe Legal Eagle saw me throw Jason Youngbluth off stream, noted the Willy Wonka memes with my name on them, and then did that video to disparage my name. Because that's the reasoning he used on MatPat. But no. I haven't watched his video on Willy Wonka. I saw it in my recommendeds. And then I got mad and I sent Google hate mail for recommending such a shyster to my channel. Seth says, came for the law, stayed for angry Nick. Commies, no! Thanks, buddy. Thanks. Welcome to it. Okay. Back to the document. Paragraph 11. Because of SPLC's storied history of fortitude and success against actual bigotry and hatred during the civil rights era, its reputation has survived a rising and nonpartisan tide of criticism directed at SPLC itself. Shocking revelations concerning the personal and professional conduct of its management and controversy concerning its financial practices. These are not the subject matter of this complaint. However, why bring them up, Gavin? What is relevant is that despite this considerable and substantive and justified assaults on its reputation, the SPLC hate designations are still so widely credited and so vigorously promoted by SPLC that they are commonly accepted, treated and understood as official and factual determinations in significant and influential ways as intended by SPLC. And a sidebar to the influence of SPLC. I was in a car with two people. Two people were trapped in a car with me while I was in Texas, and I mentioned that the SPLC was being sued by everybody, and they said, "What's the Southern Poverty Law Center?" They had no idea. So apparently, they are not all powerful. Here we go. Mr. McInnes brings this action against SPLC for defaming him by use of the SPLC hate designations and publishing other false, damaging, and defamatory statements about him as alleged in detail below. For its concerted, obsessive, and malicious actions taken to deplatform Mr. McInnes, for its tortious interference with his economic opportunities. And this is an interesting thing. This is a potential avenue in some jurisdictions to go after the untouchable opinions, right? Because opinions are not touchable under defamation. However, we have this new thing where people are going directly to employers, contractors, people engaged in contractual and business relationships with people that they don't like. They're talking to them directly, either on Twitter or in personal messages. They're sometimes using privileged and sometimes using non-privileged methods to communicate with them. A privileged method of communication would be like a helpline or a report bad action line, something like that. Non-privileged would just be tagging them on Twitter or directly calling like some person that's job is not to take that call. Either way, they're dropping these opinions about racism, misogyny, homophobia, whatever you want to pick. They're doing that. And while those may not be defamatory statements, in some jurisdictions like Texas, for instance, opinion statements do not need to be proven true or false in an action for tortious interference. So enterprising lawyers in 2019, with the weaponization of crowdfunding at their backs, may start to court clients like Gavin, who would be willing to, who have some clout, who have some ability to crowdfund a lawsuit, might be willing to test some novel approaches to attacking these statements, even though we can't do them under defamation. And that's very, very, very interesting to me. I hope we see more of it. Even if they don't win, I hope we see more of it. Kush says at the bar, High West Campfire Rye Whiskey. Good luck, buddy. I need some more of this swill. Gosh, this isn't even hitting me yet. Isn't even hitting me yet. Here we go. All right. I guess because I don't have leftover liquor from my stomach from last night. Dick Fingers says SPLC should be hit with a RICO suit. They are. That other guy, Greg Allen. I think his suit might allege some RICO. So we'll see. Okay. Okay. Did I read that whole paragraph? What is relevant is that despite the considerable and substantive and justified assaults on its reputation, SPLC hate designations are still so widely credited and so vigorously promoted by SPLC that they are commonly accepted, treated, and understood as official and factual determinations in significant and influential ways as intended by SPLC. As I got through that, I realized that I did read the whole thing, so I apologize for repeating it. Mr. McInnes brings this action against SPLC for defaming him by the use of SPLC hate designations and publishing. Oh, wait, I read this one too. Or most of it. So this is tortious interference with his economic opportunities. That's where I left off. It won't be edited in post. Don't ask. And for intentionally interfering with his contractual relationships by causing inter alia, the termination of Mr. McInnes' employment, an almost complete deplatforming and defunding, and subjecting him to employment discrimination based on his lawful non-employment recreational activities. All right. SPLC's defamatory, false, and misleading designation of Mr. McInnes as a hate figure is purposefully deceitful and intended to tarnish Mr. McInnes' reputation, which is sterling, disparage Mr. McInnes' good name and work, inflict harm and financial damage, reduce Mr. McInnes' goodwill and standing in the community, expose Mr. McInnes, his family, and anyone else associated with him to public scorn, harassment, intimidation, and potential violence, and to denigrate, malign, and ridicule Mr. McInnes to countless individuals and potential employers and partners around the world. This action seeks damages and injunctive relief to remedy the damages done to Mr. McInnes by SPLC and to prevent further irreparable damage. And let me make a personal note here, because I'm taking little joke shots at Gavin. I don't have any problem with Gavin. And my joke shots do not mean that he doesn't have a claim here, and they certainly don't mean that what the SPLC is doing to him is in any way justified or meritorious. The SPLC is a dumpster. To quote my boy Richard Meyer, the SPLC is a cum dumpster that should be set on fire in Minecraft. I'm not advocating that anyone set the SPLC on fire in any sort of way, so we're clear. Just saying, if it were obliterated from existence, the world would be a better place than it is now. So, just so we're clear on this. All right. Plaintiff McInnes is and was at all times relevant herein, resident in the state of New York, with residence in Westchester County, New York. Defendant SPLC is a corporation formed under the laws of the state of Alabama with its headquarters in Montgomery, Alabama. And since they're from Alabama, you know they're racist. SPLC is federally tax-exempt political fundraising and activism project that markets itself as a civil rights organization. Jurisdiction and venue. This court has diversity jurisdiction over Mr. McInnes' claims pursuant to 28 U.S.C. 1332A1 because McInnes and SPLC are citizens of different states and the amount in controversy in this action exceeds $75,000 exclusive of interest and costs. The court has personal jurisdiction over SPLC because it is incorporated in and its headquarters are located in the state of Alabama. The court has pendant jurisdiction over McInnes' state law claims pursuant to 28 U.S.C. 1367. Venue is proper in this district pursuant to 1391B because defendant's principal place of business is in the jurisdictional district and a substantial part of the events or omissions giving rise to McInnes' claims occurred in this district. Those all seem solid. They don't have a jurisdictional case here if this is brought in Alabama. Okay. All right. Gavin McInnes. Or in the Canadian accent, Canadian accent. Gavin, I'm sorry, McInnes. That's the Canadian accent. In an October 16th, 2018 article by Alan Fuhrer, the New York Times described Mr. McInnes as a former Brooklyn hipster turned far-right provocateur, notable for his egghead glasses, pocket protector, and heavy drinking, angry nerd aesthetic, whose obsessions seem to be more cultural than political. Mr. McInnes, a fiscal conservative and libertarian, calls himself a champion of Western values and reserves a burning ire for the political correctness of people on the left, whom he describes as busybodies who have lost their sense of humor. That seems accurate. That seems accurate. As set forth in the Times article, born in England and raised in Canada, why are you fooling me with the Mick? I was gonna drink Jameson for you, Gavin, just for you. Now I'm gonna drink some proper 12. Born in England and raised in Canada, Mr. McInnes has been a controversial figure in the news media for nearly 20 years. In 1994, after emerging from the punk rock music scene, he co-founded Vice, the Montreal-based hipster magazine that later moved to Brooklyn and delighted audience from the start with its graphic articles on subjects such as drug-abusing models and decomposing pigeons. There you go. In fact, Mr. McInnes is a comedian and political commentator who has been working in media for a quarter century. After creating Vice Media, he ran most of the editorial or content side of the operation until his departure in 2008. After that, he made several movies, wrote books, and founded an advertising agency called Rooster worldwide in 2010, which he sold in March of 2014. He then focused entirely on talk show hosting and had a successful career up until December 2018, when SPLC's relentless campaign to silence him finally achieved success. The Times article accurately describes the iconoclastic and often offensive nature of Mr. McInnes' style. Quote, offending liberals, women, beta male culture, and transgender people, writing in a voice inflected with a crass, contrarian bigotry that left him just enough room to declare it all a joke. The Proud Boys, serial killers. Serial killers. Gavin, what cereal are you crushing lately, buddy? Since he's deplatformed, I assume he had to go to the generic bag cereal. Okay. In 2016, the Times article continues, Mr. McInnes founded Mr. McInnes founded the first official chapter of the Proud Boys in New York after he said he realized that fans of his former television program, The Gavin McInnes Show, like to spend time in his studio drinking beer with him and telling private, sick jokes. Okay? Telling private jokes. Does he mean jokes about like, why is that? What's wrong with that? And telling private jokes. Okay? He has described the group, which has since spread to dozens of cities and to countries like Australia and Japan, as an ordinary men's club. Very ordinary, no masturbation allowed, like the Shriners or the Elks, who also apparently don't allow the jerking of the meat. It serves as a sort of safe space for him and what he calls his fellow Western chauvinists. I have met a couple Proud Boys, and they were very nice people. I don't know if it's the lack of, I don't know if it's the lack of the masturbating that makes them nice, but that is there. Let me see. One second. I got to check something real quick. I just have to keep up with the, Stream Me doesn't necessarily tell me when a donation chat comes in. So I have to refresh it every so often. Sorry. Here we go. According to the Times, quote, in its guise as a fraternal organization, the Proud Boys get together in New York and other cities once a month at beery meetups. They could draw as many as 100 participants. Women are not allowed at the group's formal gatherings, though they are permitted the warm-up sessions. Does that make them fluffers? Like, what is that? Mr. McInnes has written. As a character-building exercise, the Proud Boys forbid both masturbation and the watching of the pornography. The group's initiation rituals include reciting the names of 5 breakfast cereals while being slugged by other members. Which is, I hear, difficult. I hear difficult. The article in the Times goes on to explain the monthly meetups are largely, quote, social events where people have fun and laugh and drink and share stories about their kids and businesses and stuff like that, said Paul Basile, the editor of the Proud Boy magazine. Why is Paul, P-A-W-L? Is Paul Basile a furry? It's a celebration of the West, of America, and of freedom and liberty. Okay. Though the Times article states that Mr. McInnes has in recent years set himself apart from the current crop of professionally outraged right-wing pundits, not only for being able to spout aggressive rhetoric, but also for being willing to get physical at times, does not actually give an example of Gavin McInnes getting physical with Olivia Newton-John playing in the background, instead stating, quote, like the president, he tends to publicly disavow all violence while winkingly insisting that he and the Proud Boys will never back down during a scrape. Wink, wink. Again, there is a very big line between advocating violence and saying, if someone attacks me, I will defend myself. So props to you, Gavin. Props to you. Oh, I don't have the live chat on. Okay. Mr. McInnes did not, in fact, wink while making the statement to the Times reporter. Don't you dare! Don't you dare accuse me of winking! How dare you? In fact, until the conduct by SPLC complained of here, the Proud Boys had virtually no involvement in scrapes, physical or otherwise. Well, I mean, there was that one that they got arrested for, right? Like, that was until the conduct by SPLC complained of here. Okay, so they must be complaining of the fight that happened in New York specifically. Yeah. Okay. The Proud Boys had virtually no involvement in scrapes, physical or otherwise. No mental scrapes either, guys. And were properly perceived as a social group for young men of all races and ethnic backgrounds looking for companionship, the opportunity to develop character, and ways to reinforce each other's self-respect as young men. Quote, the Proud Boys are a politically incorrect men's social club. The group's leadership was quoted in one press report, we are a social club, a fraternity, in another. Documented Proud Boys activities include collection and distribution of Christmas presents for toy drives in Oklahoma and Michigan. I love this. They're good boys. And again, I'm not saying anything bad about the Proud Boys. It's just, this is the good boy section. Look at all the good they do. Raising funds for military charities in Central Texas, assisting with emergency fire relief arising from the California Camp Fire, distributing food and essentials to homeless veterans in Boston on Veterans Day. I'm a new man. Rounding up food for a food bank in South Florida and collating and shipping care packages. Collating? And shipping care packages to overseas troops from Michigan. Ayers 1981 says Powell is the Polish version of Paul, but there's no E in the Paul that was on here. It wasn't Powell. It was just Paul. Powell? Weird. Okay. Emblematic of Proud Boys' philosophy, its bylaws state, quote, a person that believes in the inherent supremacy of any one race over another, or is a member of any organization promoting the supremacy of any one race over another, may not become or remain a member of this fraternity. This includes, but is not limited to, any person who is currently identifies as a white nationalist, white supremacist, or alt-right, or any person who is a member of an organization identifying as such. Similarly, members of terrorist organizations or cells, including but not limited to Antifa, are prohibited from membership in the fraternity. Now, Gavin, to be fair, you said it was men only, so Antifa certainly cannot be in it. But the real question is, while they wrote the bylaws, were they winking? Right? Were they? I don't know which eye I wink with better. Left, right, One of them might be an angry wink, and one of them might be, I don't know. I'll have to ask. The Times, however, uninterested in such mundane matters, and bylaws of organizations are mundane. They got that right. Instead goes on to describe two recent incidents in Charlottesville and Virginia, in which the Proud Boys, or members of the Proud Boys, though not Mr. McInnes himself, were accused of violence. For their part, the Proud Boys maintain that any use of force by them came. What? Okay. Someone help me out. Can I open a complaint editing service for these guys? Like, if you pay me enough, I will have a 1-hour service level agreement on editing your complaint. And I'll do it sober. But I'm doing it with liquor. And I mean, what is this? For their part, the Proud Boys maintain that any use of force by them was only in self-defense to a violent attack by so-called anti-fascist or Antifa groups. Lawyers out there, I will edit your complaint for these minor mistakes because I don't care about your lawsuit. I'll fix them. I'll get the red pen out. I'll use the underline function, whatever you want. Whatever makes your feelings go happy. But this is embarrassing. Every lawsuit I read is full of abysmal errors. And they're weird ones. Indeed, the Times article does not note that Mr. McInnes did not go to Charlottesville and that he explicitly forbade the Proud Boys from attending. Well, thanks, Dad. The Times article continued, quote, to be clear, all white nationalists / anti-Semites are banned from Proud Boys, even if they never bring up said topics, he wrote in an article shortly after the violence in Virginia. Okay. As a result of these incidents, however, and of the pressure applied by SPLC and others on both him and the Proud Boys, in late November of 2018, Mr. McInnes severed his connections with the Proud Boys. Oh, man. He disavowed. Hey, Gavin. Hey. Psst, Gavin, buddy. Gavin. You disavowed, and they still took your things. I don't know if I can tap my head hard enough for you guys to hear it. Hold on. Come on, Gavin! They still take your things! Don't apologize! Why are you apologizing? Unaccountable arbiter of hate. SPLC declares itself to be the, quote, premier U.S. nonprofit organization monitoring the activities of domestic hate groups and other extremists, including the Ku Klux Klan, the neo-Nazi movement, neo-Confederates, racist skinheads, black separatists, anti-government militias, Christian identity adherents, and others. Christian identity adherents. Don't you dare have a Christian identity. That would be a hate. Ryan English says he left the Proud Boys so the sentencing for the Proud Boys would be lighter. Lawyers advised him to. Don't always listen to lawyers. All right. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, defines hate crime or bias crime as, quote, a criminal offense committed against a person, property, or society that is motivated in whole or in part by the offender's bias against a race, religion, disability, sexual orientation, or ethnicity/national origin. Shockingly, not often applied to white races or straight people. So you gotta, typically, like, I'm not gonna say always, because sometimes it does. They do apply hate crimes to anti-white statements made while beating like a kid or whatever. But it's kind of rare, and it's weird. It's weird. The FBI defines a hate group as, quote, as an, quote, organization whose primary purpose is to promote animosity, hostility, and malice against persons of or with a race, religion, disability, sexual orientation, ethnicity, gender, or gender identity which differs from that of the members of the organization, e.g. the Ku Klux Klan, American Nazi Party. So if you're a white group and hate whites, that's okay. If you're a black group and hate blacks, that's okay. That's interesting. Very interesting. All right. More generally, the term hate group typically refers to an association or group acting in a criminal or violent fashion or threatening to do so based on an expressed enmity toward and menace of one or more ideological target or identified target of hate. Blah. Okay. Let me try reading that again. Based on an expressed enmity toward and menace of one or more identified targets of hate. That said, according to the United States Department of Justice, most hate bias crimes do not involve organized hate groups whose members are dedicated to the goal of achieving racial purity. Indeed, the DOJ reports that, quote, hate/bias crimes are more often committed under ordinary circumstances by otherwise unremarkable types. There you go. Despite the relative unimportance of hate groups and high-profile individuals in the scheme of hate or bias-based violence and crime, the cornerstone of SPLC's agenda and promotion is the identification of groups and persons as hate groups, extremists, and white supremacists. To that end, SPLC acknowledges that its goal is to destroy organizations and persons it targets as hate groups or as members of hate groups as a matter of political struggle, even if those targets do not qualify based on the broadly understood definitions above. Well, that's because those definitions are not objective. Unfortunately, we don't have objective definitions for these things, so we don't necessarily have objective measures. Okay. Among those whom SPLC has lumped together with neo-Nazis and the KKK as extremists or affiliated with hate groups are A, Secretary of Housing and Urban Development Dr. Ben Carson, super racist against the blacks, and former Vanderbilt University professor and scholar Carol Swain, who are both black. Christian organizations such as the Family Research Council, FRC, Traditional Values Coalition, ADF, Freedom, they're against freedom, guys, American Family Association, and the Pacific Justice Institute, Islamic anti-extremism activists Ayaan Hirsi Ali, Majid Nawaz, which if you saw on the kill stream, the SPLC did settle a lawsuit with Majid Nawaz by paying him $3.35 million, although allegedly they filed it with their insurance and probably just paid a tiny amount. Because there you go. They actually have hate speech insurance. And by the way, can someone tell me where the hate speech insurance policies are sold so we can have fun in life? Pamela Geller and Robert Spencer, not Richard Spencer, Robert Spencer of Jihad Watch. Immigration enforcement advocacy groups, FAIR, the Center for Immigration Studies, the Remembrance Project. You got to have remembrancers, guys. The Emperor Protects. Pro-English and Legal Immigrants for America. E, American Enterprise Institute scholar Charles Murray. F, writer and commentator David Horowitz. See, they even hate the Jews. Accuracy in Media President Cliff Kincaid. WorldNet Daily founder Joseph Farah. WorldNet Daily, a leading source of news. Senator Rand Paul. And all Rand Paul hates is dynamic personality. And plaintiff Gavin McInnes. Hate is in the eye of the beholder. Hate is in the eye of the beholder. While SPLC's rhetoric routinely associates hate groups with actual hate crimes, SPLC has acknowledged that what it defines as hate group activity includes constitutionally protected marches, rallies, speeches, meetings, leafleting, or publishing, and that the SPLC's designation of a hate group does not imply a group advocates or engages in violence or other criminal activity. So again, they're making it all up. They're making it all up. True American Hero says, apologize to Robert Spencer for calling him a Jew. I didn't call Robert Spencer a Jew, although is Robert Spencer a Jew? He might be. Robert Spencer might actually be Jewish. No, I was talking about David Horowitz. Horowitz. Indeed, in a 2018 Washington Post WAPO article, WAPO is a little bit racist. SPLC President Richard Cohen admitted to journalist David Montgomery that it does not matter to SPLC whether the use of SPLC hate designations is accurate in terms of identifying conduct motivated by actual hate, because its use is part of SPLC's, quote, effort to hold them accountable for their rhetoric and the ideas they are publishing. SPLC pushing, not publishing, pushing. SPLC has acknowledged, in fact, that merely renting a P.O. box without more may be sufficient activity to get a group on SPLC's enemies list. Oh no! What do they hate? SPLC, what do they have against the post office? I have stuff against the post office. What's wrong with a P.O. box? Guys, I have a post office box. I'm officially petitioning the SPLC to make me a hate group for having a post office box. SPLC's gender fluid definitions of hate keep SPLC busy and flush with donations from sympathizers who are grateful that, as they understand it, SPLC is doing the hard work of obliterating hate so they do not have to do so. They do not have to do so. Right, because that's the best way to do activism, is to hope someone else does it for you. The, quote, growth of hate groups as defined by SPLC is critical to SPLC's continued existence, as well as its formidable fundraising successes. And you know, thank God for the SPLC. Without the SPLC, we would have lynchings in the streets, as we learned from Uncle Nathan Phillips, or whatever his name is, that the white Christian school children would be looking to go ahead and lynch the black Hebrew nationalists at every corner if it weren't for groups like SPLC fighting on the front lines of just making a website. Oh my God. According to Joanne, what is that name? Wipajewski. I mean... Her name is Wipajewski. Wipajewski? Is she advocating the whipping of Jews in Polish? Wipajewski? What is going on? A writer for Nation magazine, quote, no one has been more assiduous in inflating the profile of hate groups than SPLC, whose leadership, quote, would have its donors believe that militia nuts are lurking around every corner. Militia nuts are delicious. This stream is brought to you by militia nuts. Eat militia. Eat militia nuts. Extra salty. Extra salty and armed and extremely dangerous. Spicy militia nuts coming to you soon from Rekieta Law. SPLC projects that largely imaginary, like militia nuts. Why don't we have a militia nuts project or product? Why can't you go buy militia nuts? Like maybe the Black Coffee Rifle Company can whip together some militia nuts. That sounds great. Sounds great. SPLC projects that largely imaginary looming threat to the public, the media, and even law enforcement via its hate map, an annual online listing of active hate groups in the United States featured in the Hate Watch section of SPLC's website located at splcenter.org. Don't advertise. How dare you, Gavin, advertising their disgusting lawsuit on my stream. You should have known. You should have known this is coming. Okay. It's pronounced Vipyevsky? Vipyevsky? No, it's called Wipajewski. Okay. Here's the thing. So I want to pause for a minute and talk about this because this is something I was talking about during the election, right? So Trump famously said to a D-list celebrity, Billy Burke. Is it Billy Burke? I think was his name. Billy Burke said, he said to him, he walks up to women, he just grabs them by the pussy, right? Like that was his famous, super offensive line, okay? No one heard it other than a D-list celebrity, Billy Burke, who, being a celebrity, also walks up to women and grabs them by the pussy. Like it's just a different form of lifestyle than the average person, right? Billionaire, celebrity, whatever it is, doesn't matter. They have different interactions with women than the normal male in America does. Now, Trump said this line, but no one on earth knew that Trump said this line. So therefore, by logical extension, no one was offended by this. No one, Billy Bush, not Billy Burke, Billy Bush. Sorry. I forgot he was a Bush. See? So Trump was just trying to grab Billy's bush. That's all we have to know. Okay. No one on earth was actually offended by this until the media publishes it. The media did the offending. Trump didn't, because Trump's comment was meant for an audience of one, and the media expanded that to an audience of millions. This is similar to how the SPLC treats hate groups. Yes, okay, 15 KKK guys gather in some pole barn and rub one out onto a swastika-shaped piece of toast. I don't know what they do. Whatever they do it in their little group, and no one knows or cares. Because I don't know if you know this, but lynchings are down dramatically from even 1960, okay? We don't have rampant hate crimes being perpetrated by groups of people. The only reason people know, on the hate map, I'm going to pull it up, because I looked at it the other day to see if I was on it, and I'm not. Thank God, because it's so ridiculous that people actually pay attention to this stuff. But the hate map, let me pull up Minnesota. I'm gonna read you these hate groups in Minnesota that you've definitely heard of. There are 12. There are 12. There's the Sons of Liberty Media, formerly You Can Run But You Cannot Hide. Okay. There's the Asatru Folk Assembly. They're neo-Volkish. Gallows Tree Wattensvolk Alliance, also neo-Volkish. The Daily Stormer has a presence in Minnesota, apparently. Yes, good job to that guy. Vinlanders Social Club. That's a racist skinhead social club. Identity Europa. I'm sure it's pronounced Europa. That's white nationalist. The Remnant / the Remnant Press, which is radical traditional Catholicism. No, Not them. Behold Barbarity Records and Distro, which distributes hate music. ACT for America, which is ACT. I don't think it's the ACT like exam. It's ACT. Anti-Muslim, Act for America. Israelite Church of God and Jesus Christ, which is black nationalist. Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, which is black nationalist. And The Right Stuff, which is white nationalist. Okay, I've never heard of a single one of these groups. One of them, the Sons of Liberty Media, Annandale. I drive through Annandale frequently. The Remnant and the Remnant Press are in Forest Lake, Minnesota, which Rip Medicare. You know, that's him. But yeah, I've never heard of any of these groups. I've never heard of them. Neo-Volkish? Volkish? What is this? What does Neo-Volkish even mean? I don't know what that... Our adherents worship the Norse or Germanic gods. Oh! You know what's rising right now is the worship of the Norse and Germanic gods in America. You guys, we got to put this out. We've got to put this out. I mean, are we serious? Are we serious? Okay, so anyway, my point is no one hears, like, there's a small community that hears about these groups. Obviously, the Daily Stormer gets some prominence because of their media interactions and their website. I get it. But the vast majority of them, no one's heard of these guys unless you're in the group. So they promote hate in a small group. Let me say the dangerous thing. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares if they're promoting hate? Promote hate all you want. Hate, 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 hate. I hate everybody. Hate everything. I hate American Airlines. I'm starting an anti-American Airlines hate group because they made me sit on a runway for an hour yesterday and they delayed my flight and they wouldn't let me on the earlier flight because they're a bunch of vaginas. I hate them. Okay. So the whole purpose is, again, with the grab them by the pussy comment, it didn't offend anybody until the media made it offend people. Most of these groups, no one will ever hear of outside of the groups. Ever. Because they don't actually kill people anymore. They don't actually have successful publication. They don't actually do any of this stuff. Just a moment. I need to recoup. I need to recoup. Okay, I got a couple super chats here. Couple super chats. Jason Bename says more whiskey. Whiskey. What? Whiskey. Next, Seth says time for a crusade, boys. Not the Norse. Not the Norse. All right. It's so hot in this office. I'm itchy. I'm allergic to rage and heat. In honor of Gavin McInnes not identifying as an Irishman, we're going to drink some proper 12 from Conor McGregor. Proper Irish whiskey. And by proper, I mean absolutely vile garbage swill. All right. We'll have a little of that. We'll have a little of that. Okay. The this is paragraph 54, if you're following along at home. Woohoo! Let me figure this out. The Splc hate map provides no index, summary listing, details, or other tools that identify which groups it has damned by inclusion have violated the law. It any. All right. On its 2014 SPLC hate map, SPLC listed 784 hate groups down almost 20% from the year before, but significantly higher than the 537 groups SPLC claimed to be menacing America in 1998. Why aren't you? What are the numbers from 2017, man? SPLC further inflates the hate. Inflate the hate. It's rhymes, so it's true. Inflates the hate threat that is its primary source of fundraising income by placing a colored-coded virtual pin on the hate map that is intended to represent every location deemed as hosting a chapter of a hate group, regardless of the size of a group's or chapter's actual membership. For example, the otherwise obscure National Socialist Movement appears 49 times in SPLC's 2015 hate map, once for each of its alleged local chapters, the membership of which may be as few as one person, or even less if a member is affiliated with more than one chapter. There you go. Moreover, SPLC counts each local chapter or map pin as a separate hate group. On that basis, SPLC's 2012 hate map. What years? Why? just post the 2018 hate map or 2017, whichever the most recent is. 2012 hate map counted 1,007 active hate groups in the United States, including organizations and their chapters, counting the American Third Position Party 17 times. What's the third position? Does anybody, like, unironic question, does anybody know what the third position is? I was just going to make a sex joke, but now I'm curious. Third Position Party 17 times, the American Nazi Party 6 times, and the Council of Conservative Citizens 37 times. 37 times. If the 2012 hate map list is filtered for organizations with identical names that were counted multiple times, SPLC's 1,007 hate groups shrinks to 358. Okay, third position equals National Socialism / fascism. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Show us your degree so you can get a boner. I don't know where my degree is. I think my degree is still at my other house. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, rate my white supremacist joke here. If you deny white this is going to be bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry in advance for this. If you deny white privilege, think again. Whites have the music group 311 while blacks only get 112. So you know white privilege is real. And that's is real, not Israel. If the 2012 hate... Oh, wait, I read that one. Unsurprisingly, based on SPLC's math, while the FBI reported a reduction in hate crimes of 24% between 1998 and 2013, SPLC claimed the number of U.S.-based hate groups shot up by 75% during this same period. SPLC's rewarded for exaggerating the threat of hate groups is not only enhanced prestige in the public eye because of its heroic efforts to combat them, but financial as well. Do you guys actually want to see my degree? I think I just remembered that might actually be in the next room. Give me 10 seconds. Give me 10 seconds. No. I guess I really should, like, find that thing. I'm back. Don't you dare 10 seconds me. I thought it was in the other room, but it's not. It's not. Okay. Unsurprisingly, yeah. While the FBI reported a reduction in hate crimes of 24% between 1998 and 2013, SPLC claimed the number of U.S.-based hate groups shot up by 75% during the same period. I read both of these. We're on paragraph 62, I just realized. According to public filings, SPLC had total assets of $477 million for the year ending October 2017, during which it had received $132 million in contributions, an increase of $140 million in its total assets from the prior year. As of the end of 2017, $92 million of SPLC's anti-poverty assets had been transferred to entities located in the Cayman Islands. It should be hanging on the wall next to my bookshelf. I don't know, man. I don't know. Gosh, I never cared about that stupid degree. It's not like from a good school or anything like that. It's not like I went to Harvard or Yale or anything. I just went to a local school. So, you know. Contributions, Lord Rap of Rap Mountain. Thus, SPLC has been handsomely rewarded by its blatant inflation of hate groups, numbers, and strategy of keeping its pot of hate boiling. Alex Ware, yes, this is live. Welcome to it. Yeah, it's in one of the boxes. I think it's just in my other my other house. All the white privilege of having two houses. Having two houses sucks, by the way. Let me just point that out. I have to pay for like electricity and everything at the other house still too, and I'm trying to get rid of it. Hate as a business model. The evolution of SPLC from heroic civil rights advocate and shield against violent and unlawful bigotry. Well, I mean, technically it was lawful bigotry. That was the whole point. It was lawful bigotry, and they wanted to make it unlawful. And infringements of civil rights to its modern day role as the enforcer for a particular grouping of political and cultural forces targeting ideological enemies on the left, right, or otherwise has been the subject of extensive analysis and commentary for years. Yeah, I need to sell it. VG, are you a Harvard grad? I like beating people who went to better law schools than me in court. Does that count? As early as the year 2000, an article in Harper's Magazine by Ken Silverstein entitled "The Church of Morris Dees," a reference to SPLC's once legendary founder, described the fallacious nature of the organization's hate group agenda. This is very similar to the Allen, what was his name? Greg Allen lawsuit. Bagel Goose says the third position is missionary sex without the express intent of procreation. Blasphemy! Get it out. Dick Finger says, I'm sorry for your two houses. Here's $2. Thanks, buddy. Carl's Jr. says, word, Nick, there's a pedophile that I got arrested. If he assaults me, how much to represent me? Are you in Minnesota? If not, we might have to talk about that. The Harper's article quoted a former SPLC staff lawyer who admitting that SPLC's hate group worse consists. He admitted that admitting that. Proof. Reader. Consists, quote, mainly in spying on private citizens who belong to hate groups, sharing its files with law enforcement agencies, and suing the most prominent of these groups for crimes committed independently by their members. A practice that, however seemingly justified, should give civil libertarians pause. Brackets, and all of which is calculated to cash in on black pain and white guilt. That's a big paraphrase there. Oh my goodness. VG, Western Michigan, Thomas L. Cooley School of Law. Well, good job. I went to William Mitchell School of Law, producer of 9 Supreme Court justices, 8 of them being Minnesota Supreme Court justices, and 1 of them being Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, Warren Burger. Warren Burger. That's the law school I went to. It was not named William Mitchell when Burger graduated there, but that's the one. It is now named Mitchell Hamlin because they fall on hard times. They fall on hard times because they turn into garbage. But the best part of them changing their name, is I no longer feel any obligation to donate as an alumni because I didn't go to Mitchell Hamlin School of Law. I went to William Mitchell School of Law. Okay. Echoing this criticism, Jerry Kammer, a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative journalist and senior research fellow for the Center for Immigration Studies, demonstrated in a March 2010 research paper, important because it's a research paper, how SPLC acted as an active ally and propaganda arm of the National Council of La Raza, a Latino advocacy group that itself has been accused of espousing racial superiority. Yeah, I think La Raza might have espoused racial superiority at some point in a 2009 campaign to brand advocates of immigration control as extremists and advocates of hate. There we go. According to Kammer, during this 2009 campaign, SPLC promulgated a definition of hate that encompassed simply taking stances at odds with SPLC and its client La Raza, now known as Unidos US, about immigration policy widely recognized as a complex topic. So complex that the INA, the Immigration Naturalization Act, has remained largely unchanged since 1957. You guys produce Michael Avenatti? You win. That guy's either the worst or best lawyer in the history of man. As a result, in 2016, the DOJ's, he's certainly good at hitting women. The DOJ's Disciplinary Council for the Executive Office for Immigration Review during the Obama administration, the Disciplinary Council, sharply rebuked and reprimanded attorneys who represented SPLC and its allies for labeling a conservative advocacy group whose attorneys appeared the Executive Office for Immigration Review as a hate group. Okay. Let's read that sentence again. As a result, this is all one sentence. This is just a nasty disaster. As a result, in 2016, the DOJ's Disciplinary Council for the Executive Office for Immigration Review during the Obama administration, henceforth the Disciplinary Council, sharply rebuked and reprimanded attorneys who represented SPLC and its allies for labeling a conservative advocacy group whose attorneys appeared the Executive Office for Immigration Review as a hate group. What? There's a double space here. I assume you guys can see that. That's a double space between appeared and the. I don't know what they're saying in that sentence. Rick Rekieta has finally made it back to Chicago and got my brakes fixed. Figured you and the people who don't know me would want to know. I did want to know. I'm glad you made it back, buddy. I was worried about those brakes. Glad they're fixed. Sorry you're in Chicago. Please don't get killed. Dick Finger says, Nick, open a Rekieta proofreading law service. You'll make a killing doing the job others are too lazy to do. I thought that was for La Raza. Jason Benaim says this entire section is, quote, no you. Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Ultimately, we're not going to get through. I'm thinking we're not going to get through this document, guys. We have, I got to do math. 46 pages to go still. 46? 56? 46. 46 pages to go. Yeah. 46 pages to go. Vladimir M. Ivanovich says, do you care about the effects of illegal immigration on black people? I do very much. Ultimately, the DOJ concluded that SPLC's use of the hate group designation to denigrate attorneys and public interest groups advocating positions contrary to those of SPLC, quote, overstepped the bounds of zealous advocacy and was unprofessional, and, quote, constituted frivolous behavior that, quote, does not aid the administration of justice. Well, no kidding. No kidding. No kidding. SPLC's misleading and malicious use of the SPLC hate designations to disparage and delegitimize political opponents was also described in 2013 by J.M. Berger, a contributor to Foreign Policy magazine, in which he observed that SPLC bases its hate claims on, quote, a fundamentally flawed methodology. Also mythology. The next year, a paper entitled Watching the Watchers. That's like meta-cucking right there, is watching the watchers. Mike Gams, I hear, is a meta-cuck. I can't confirm or deny, but I hear, and it is my opinion, that Mike Gams is a meta-cuck, which means he likes watching someone watch their significant other get banged by someone else. I can't confirm that. It's just what I hear. Meta-cuck. Watching the Watchers, the neglect of academic analysis of progressive groups. George Yancey, Fancy Yancey, a professor of sociology at the University of North Texas and a researcher in the area of extremist groups of both right and left, noted the subjective nature of labeling hate groups that is at the core of SPLC's present-day activities. I mean, here's the problem. Like, they're talking about subjectivity. This goes back to that initial paragraph saying, well, these aren't facts. These aren't facts. They're definitely not facts. They're not empirical facts. Can't be proven or disproven. Like, here they're saying this is subjective. This is problems for the lawsuit. And they're not actually defeating the arguments that they're presenting. Based on SPLC's apparent ideological selectivity, Fancy Yancey expressed doubt that SPLC's Hate Watch is an objective clearinghouse for the identification of hatred, despite the widespread impression that it is, quote, the quote is on the is, seen as embodying a gold standard. Loyalty Brigade says, will you ever have Copper Cab on? I don't know. Who's Copper Cab? Who's Copper Cab? In view of the SPLC's liberal use of the hate group designation to any group, beta, to any group or individual whose views differ from its own, Yancey's doubts were well founded. Hate is blind. Look at these profound statements. They had like, hate is subjective. Hate is blind. Oh my goodness. SPLC has even undermined its reputation amongst presumptive allies. In a November 2016 letter to SPLC's president Richard Cohen, Katrina Lantos Sweat? Lantos Sweat? What are these unfortunate names? The president of the Lantos Foundation for Human Rights and Justice condemned SPLC for betraying its own noble mission of fighting bigotry and protecting the vulnerable by attacking moderate Muslim reformers like Ayan Hirsi Ali and Majid Nawaz. Miss Sweat described SPLC's conduct as unjust and unwarranted. Sigma Zero, thank you for answering this question, says Copper Cab is a longtime internet meme, quote, parentheses, the gingers have no souls rage kid. He's got a maybe sincere beef with Gavin, and they're going to finally have a boxing match. Well, if there's something that can't be solved by a boxing match, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. Do gingers have souls? Let me call Ed Sheeran and ask. Indeed. Pursuant to a $3.375 million settlement with Mr. Nawaz, SPLC was required to issue a public written and videotaped apology from Mr. Cohen in multiple forums. Also, in 2016, Lee Smith of the Hudson Institute noted the incongruity of SPLC's condemnation of Mr. Nawaz for blasphemy against Islam and observed that SPLC's accusation, quote, belongs not to the tradition of an American civil rights organization, but rather to the ideology of a religious fundamentalist organization of the type that inspired the ISIS cadre that executed the staff of Charlie Hebdo. The fact is, more than 40 years after its founding, the Southern Poverty Law Center is now aggressively defending the kind of violent supremacists it once sought to prosecute and attacking types like Nawaz it had once defended against violence. Yeah, it's funny that the SPLC would come out against Islamic blasphemy, isn't it? Like, think of that. Think of that. Coming out like, oh, this guy blasphemes the people who throw gays off of rooftops to their death. I'm pretty sure, like, they don't have the giant, like, inflatable pillow thing that you land on when you jump off a roof in a movie, or a bunch of cardboard boxes. Wouldn't it be rude if that's what they did over in Iran, where they're like, look, we're just going to throw you onto this mat or this pile of cardboard boxes and you'll be fine. And then they threw them just to the side of it. Good Lord. Okay. Also in 2016, wait, I just read that. Laird Wilcox, we're on paragraph 79 if you're following along at home. Laird Wilcox, a leading researcher and expert on extremist organizations, as well as the phenomenon of hate crime hoaxing. I don't know if you guys are aware of hate crime hoaxing. Hate crime hoaxing is a all too frequent occurrence where when you find out that like a swastika has been drawn in poop on a bathroom of a college, that, gosh, a lot of times it was a Jewish person who did it. Or when like a burning cross was placed on the lawn of like an institute of higher learning or something like that, and they finally pull security footage, they find out it was a black guy who did it, right? Like, this is the hate crime hoaxing is so common. It's really terrible because the media runs with the story immediately. It's like, oh, we finally found one. We got one. We got a hater. We got someone who hates the blacks and the Mexicans. We finally found one, and they're so happy. You can see them just jerking right into their mouth. How happy they are to find the hate. And then over and over and over, they're shown to be committed by someone like an activist looking to call attention to the hate that doesn't actually exist, right? Over and over and over. It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, anyway, according to Professor Wilcox, and that's not a gay thing, that's just his name, SPLC has gone into ideological overdrive and has developed many of the destructive traits that characterize moral crusaders, including the demonization of critics and dissenters. SPLC's hate group designations states Wilcox, reflect a, quote, kind of selective attention and biased reporting that, quote, simply illustrates SPLC's unscrupulousness. Unscrupulousness. Oh, boy. Oh, God. As long as you don't swallow Proper 12, it's fine. Ugh. In another recent treatment published in the City Journal in 2017, SPLC's tactical use of the SPLC hate designations was summarized as follows. Despite numerous exposés over the years and publications spanning the political spectrum, including Harper's, The Progressive, The Weekly Standard, Reason, The Baltimore Sun, and even the SPLC's hometown newspaper, the Montgomery Advertiser. That's the most honest newspaper name ever, the Montgomery Advertiser. The liberal establishment continues to treat the group as credible, largely because its preoccupation with right-wing bigotry aligns with the stereotypical view of liberals who dominate newspapers like the Washington Post and the New York Times. Indeed, SPLC continues to employ its business model of personally destroying those it identifies as extremists or political threats to its ideological agenda as a fundraising lever, including even long-standing members of the leftist camp. For example, in 2018, SPLC was forced to remove three articles from its website when Max Blumenthal, an anti-establishment radical iconoclastic writer, threatened legal action. The 2018 Washington Post article cited above notes that while SPLC's online dossiers for groups it deems deserving of an accounting present, quote, extreme-sounding quotes by members of the group, SPLC relies on the, quote, greatest hits of a group no matter how stale or irrelevant those statements are in the present activism environment. According to the Washington Post, in the ADF's case, quote, nearly half of the dozen quotes, so six of the Proper 12 quotes generally condemning the, quote, homosexual agenda are more than a decade old, and as confirmed, ADF's current leadership, I guess, the sentence structure, guys, the grammar, the usage, the syntax. And as confirmed, ADF's current leadership reflect issues, initiatives, and arguments that have long been mooted, or that have essentially been retired due to the shifts in the law, the organization's agenda, or other developments, if they were ever representative of the group at all. What is that sentence? Ryan English, if you're still watching and you're still alive after that sentence, do you know at all what that said? Brother in Englishery? I don't know. I don't know what it even said. Similarly, the Montgomery Advertiser analyzed the SPLC's designation of the Center for Immigration Studies, CIS, as a hate group and concluded that while immigration policy advocacy by CIS, quote, resembles the standard think tank jousting that goes on in Washington, nevertheless, overall, SPLC had found enough data points to meet its standard of hate. Okay. Scorched earth. Broken lives. Ann Coulter's next book, Scorched Earth, Broken Lives, How the Liberal Agenda is Destroying American Media. Scorched Earth, Broken Lives, How a bunch of BuzzFeed writers' masturbatory circle jerk articles got them all fired because no one would buy their stupid publication. An Ann Coulter story. An Ann Coulter romance. Oh, that was filthy to think of. Okay. SPLC's hate designations are far from abstractions. They have resulted in consequences ranging from spankings, despicable acts of violence, that's the spankings, against groups recklessly designated as hate groups for nothing more than their position and viewpoint on controversial social issues, to the sort of personal and professional destruction sustained by Mr. McInnes. One of the more notorious instances of violence directly related to SPLC's, quote, enemies lists occurred in 2012 when Floyd Corkins II. Now, does anybody not think that Floyd Corkins II is eventually going to kill someone? Attempted to commit mass murder in the Washington, D.C. office of the FRC, or Family Research Council. During an FBI or FIBI interrogation, not investigation, interrogation, not waterboarded, by the way, Corkins confessed that he had been motivated by SPLC's designation of the Family Research Council as a hate group. He also admitted that he learned of Family Research Council by reviewing at SPLC's hate group designations and hate group map, which publishes the addresses of those organizations it labels as hate groups. Oh my goodness. Based on the SPLC's hate targeting, SPLC ultimately paid Family Research Council $3.4 million to settle its defamation claim. Like, man, $3.4 million, $3.375 million. That's right in the old ballpark, isn't it? Sigma Zero says Floyd Tendy terrorist Corkins. I could use some tendies right now. I'm hungry out of my mind. Bring me some bread, Lady Rackets. Just kidding. Lady Rackets is asleep. I don't have any bread bringers today. 3 years later, in June of 2017, during a weekend softball game that had been publicly announced, James Hodgkinson, non-Hodgkinson lymphoma, attempted to kill those Republican members of Congress and their staff who were present, critically injuring U.S. Representative Steve Scalise and several congressional staffers. Don't shoot people. That's a good model. The ensuing investigation revealed that non-Hodgkinson lymphoma followed SPLC on Facebook, and by all indications knew that SPLC had associated Rep. Scalise, a conservative Republican, with SPLC-designated hate groups. Last Fraction Zero brings up an interesting point. Rekieta Law makes me wonder if their insurance provider only covers up to $4 million in damages. Wouldn't that be interesting? Short of indictment to murder, SPLC's designation of an organization as a hate group or a person as a extremist can and does kill careers and reputations. Oh, and guys, sidebar. People want me to cover this Eugenia chick on YouTube, the one who looks like she belongs in a dreadnought, right? Like she's all withered. What's her name? Eugenia, what's her face? Whew. That chick is skinny. People want me to cover like her thing. I might do so soon. What was I going to say about this? Oh, I killed it. Cooney. Eugenia Cooney. Thank you. I might cover Eugenia Cooney. I had a joke. I think I had a joke and I ruined it. No, yes. It's not a joke. This is serious. This is serious. I figured out how to fix Eugenia Cooney. All we have to do is get her a Patreon or a PayPal account or whatever, and hook her up with Null, and Null can feed her with money. Like, she can eat for money, and Null will fund Eugenia's transmogrification from basically the face of death into just a giant blubbering whale of a fat chick. And then she can get elected to Congress. The DCV Titan says, Corkins. Any relation to Corky from Life Goes On? Hopefully. Paragraph 93. Rattel says she looks like the Crypt Keeper. That's rude. Only Ruth Bader Ginsburg looks like the Crypt Keeper. SPLC's power is the direct result of its still semi-official status in many circles, particularly progressive, i.e. left-wing, political and cultural environments such as the technology and new media sectors, which, in turn, continually reinforce that status as well as enhance SPLC's ability to target people and organizations hostile to these circles to stoke SPLC's fundraising. Deplatforming and defunding. We're on page 19 of 61. 61. Gavin, what are you doing to me? Okay. Here we go. Like a rapper getting ready for his verse. As hate group researcher Wilcox observed that as to SPLC's hate designations, quote, when you get right down to it, all SPLC does is call people names. It's specialized, a highly developed and ritualized form of defamation. Specifically, SPLC, quote, harms and isolates people by denying their humanity and trying to convert them into something that deserves to be hated and eliminated. Hated and eliminated. As a result, Yes Penis concludes, ordinary people expressing their values, opinions, and beliefs are up against a very talented and articulate defamation machine. Matt Fields says Eugenia is one of the Men in Black roach aliens. Gross. Oh. Wait. Earl Ward says there is an RBG sighting recently. You won't believe how good she's looking now. Okay. You got me, Earl Ward. You got me. I thought you were going to talk about the alleged Ruth Bader Ginsburg sighting at some white privilege concert there in wherever she is in the grave. No, where they said she made her first public appearance to quote unquote own the conservatives and the conspiracy theorists who know she's dead, right? Except they couldn't be bothered to pull out their stupid iPhone made by the gay slavery of what's his face? Not Steve Jobs, Tim Cook, the gay slavery of Tim Cook. They couldn't even be bothered to take out their iPhones and snap a picture of her decrepit corpse. They couldn't do that. So she was seen alive by a whole bunch of people. Try and find one picture. Try and find a picture. Oh, you want me to screen share this? Okay. I can do that for just a second. Oh my God. I can do that for just a second. Here we go. Bam! There she is. There's Ginsburg, the recent sighting of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Oh my goodness. What a disaster. What a disaster of a human she is. Anyway, again, not one to engage in conspiracy theory. It's just pretty funny that, like, the easiest way to dispel this conspiracy is just to post a picture of her. All right. Where are we? Paragraph 95. Now, here's where like Gavin is filleting the SPLC. More than merely talented and articulate, the SPLC defamation machine is virtually impossible to resist, which, like Harvey Weinstein, is just a walking rape machine because it attempts to, comma, make it literally, why is there a comma there? Make it literally impossible for SPLC enemies to clear their names. 96. SPLC. SPLC uses its self-proclaimed moral authority and indisputably widely adopted hate designations to defame and thereby cow proprietors and providers. They later milk the cow of the very forums in it uses. What? Okay. Guys, I hope the judge isn't drinking when he reads this. And you know the judge will be, because that's a judge. What on earth? Okay. SPLC uses its self-proclaimed moral authority and indisputably widely adopted hate designations to defame and thereby cow proprietors and providers of the very forums in it uses, ensuring its defamation victims are denied the opportunity to respond to accusations in any manner approaching the way in which they were defamed. Guys, I feel like I'm doing tech support with reading this thing. Like, what is happening here? As recounted by David Montgomery in the 2018 Washington Post article, organizations characterized as extremist by SPLC, such as ADF, have been barred by Amazon Smile from raising money through its site. Amazon Smile is an Amazon.com program that enables customers to designate a nonprofit charity to receive a portion of the customer's purchase price. Amazon acknowledges that it relies uncritically on the SPLC hate designations to determine whether a charity is ineligible for the Amazon Smile program. Unfortunately, they can do that. Like, that's not unlawful. What booze do you drink in court? I don't. Like, not to be a buzzkill, but I don't ever drink while practicing law. That's not a thing. I drink with you guys for fun while practicing lawlery. Not law. Okay. Other SPLC deemed hate groups, such as ADF, which successfully represented a Christian baker before the Supreme Court in the gay wedding cake case, have also been barred from Amazon Smile. Make that gay cake! Who are you to tell that cake that it can't bang other cakes in the buttocks? Absolute disgusting. No, the only thing I'm ever possibly on during representation is modafinil, for which I have a prescription. For my narcolepsy. Modafinil, of course, is a neural stimulant and would actually only help in legal cases. But that's that. The heart of SPLC's attack on those unfortunate enough to be on its enemies list is no longer the civil rights litigation and legal advocacy that made it famous, but rather deplatforming and defunding those enemies. What would you want to drink in court, though? Now, that's a proper question. Dobes Doberchad. I would want to drink... I can't drink Lagavulin anymore. Lagavulin 16. I mean, I can, but I really don't like to because Diageo is the cuckiest brand of whiskey I can imagine. So, in court, I would probably drink some Lafroig. Lafroig. All right. If I were drinking, obviously, again, like in all seriousness, I have to say this, it's required by my ethical obligations. I do not ever represent people under any influence of alcohol. If I've had alcohol and someone calls me, I actually don't answer and message them and tell them I would call them back at a later time. So sometimes being a lawyer is no fun. I can't even engage in jokery. In the past, prosecuting civil cases against actual hate groups garnered SPLC headlines and widespread support. SPLC's SPLC's current weapons of choice, however, have none of the drawbacks of litigation and offers many comparative advantages. Rattle says, what's the legality of doing an upper decker in a public restroom? I don't know why it would be illegal. While extensive factual and legal research is required to comply with ethical, tactical, and strategic considerations before filing a legal case against a hate group, SPLC's form of deplatforming does entail those same efforts. Wait, does? Gavin! What is happening? Gavin McInnes. Gavin. It does not entail those same efforts. Why are you saying it does? Why would you say it does entail those same efforts? Look, there's a bunch of efforts that you have to do to make sure you sue someone ethically, and their form of deplatforming does follow those same efforts. File an amended complaint. Gosh, I'm melting. The DCV Titan says, Tim Cook was the point where we reached too many cooks. That could have been written differently. Tim Cook was the point where we reached too many cocks. Too many cucks? What do you want? Oh, and Bagel Goose says, Ruth was seen at State of the Union wearing a white body bag in protest. Aw. Okay, by favoring deplatforming and defunding over litigation, SPLC exempts itself from its obligation before the courts to engage in rigorous factual investigation and legal analysis, or to incur any expense whatsoever before it flushes out, identifies, and breaks an enemy, and breaks it upon the rocks of Fenris. An enemy by pinning it to SPLC's hate map. So liberated from the ethical obligations that govern litigants, SPLC focuses far less on accurate reporting of facts than on identifying popular or effective advocates among individuals or groups that stand for the wrong things and dropping the MC hammer on them. Dropping the NC hammer. Oh my goodness. SPLC's deplatforming and defending approach is a relatively inexpensive and simple task achieved upon information and belief, mostly by harvesting damaging information or claims about its targets from the internet. Matt Field says, modafinil is legal meth, dude. I have an prescription too. Okay. Which was written more poorly, Gavin or Maddox? Maddox was written more poorly than. In contrast, civil litigation before a court and jury is governed by due process considerations that translate into good faith, non-harassing pleading standards, the right to counsel, the requirement that a plaintiff meet his burden of proof. You actually don't have a right to counsel in civil litigation. That's a weird thing to say. You don't have a right to counsel in civil litigation. Right to counsel is only in criminal matters. That's why the state will provide you right to counsel in non-petty misdemeanor matters. Anyway, the requirement that a plaintiff meet its burden of proof, fairness and reliability provided by the rules of evidence, the right to cross-examination, presumptively innocent or not liable burdens of proof, and public and open proceedings, and an ultimate determination of the merits by a disinterested judicial officer chosen through the democratic process. I mean, no, they aren't. Or by a jury of a defendant's peers from which a party dissatisfied with the outcome has a right to appeal. I mean, if you're saying a disinterested judicial officer is chosen through the democratic process because they're appointed, that's always true. It's sometimes true that judges are elected, sometimes. But I would say that the democratic process in relation to judge election, no one, come on. Who's actually vetting the judges that they elect? Almost nobody. Nobody. Okay. Christopher Grimm says Gavin is a creep that extols values he doesn't live. That may be the case. I don't know. I don't know anything about Gavin's life or the values he extols other than no porn and no jerking off. Although he's no longer a Proud Boy, so I don't know if that still applies to him. In any case, whether he does or not extol those values or live them, and whether or not he is a creep is irrelevant to whether or not he should be labeled a hate group by the SPLC. Do you think they'll settle or fight Gavin? I think the first thing they'll do is file a motion to dismiss this lawsuit, which is not well founded at this point. I'm sorry, Gavin. It's just not. I mean, the SPLC is trash. Absolute garbage. The SPLC is fit for the gallows. The SPLC is barely above child rapists in my book. In just a little bit. But you're not laying out a claim effectively in this complaint. This is a lot of words to not say anything important at all. Guys, I got about 15 minutes left in me. The liquor is hitting. And the fatigue of travel is still catching up to me, and the hunger of needing some food. So, I got about 15 minutes. We'll see how far we get. I may or may not pick this up tomorrow. We'll see what else is going on as well. But stick with me for 15 more minutes and then we'll wrap it up. The Disappeared, starring Matt Damon. Examples of SPLC's success with this strategy abound, and as publicized by SPLC itself, enhance its fundraising efforts. A recent example is the David Horowitz Focus on Horror Freedom Center, a conservative think tank once designated as a SPLC hate group in 2018. Both Visa and MasterCard revoked the center's ability to accept donations by credit card. Visa and MasterCard can get dildoed harder than Gavin McInnes, for all I care. Right now, those guys are disgusting. I'm looking. Bear with me, y'all. I am looking for an expert on the financial processing industry to talk about it, because I don't think any of us actually, even those few who are riddling woke on the financial industry, I don't think anybody understands fully the nature of the pervasive level of control Visa and MasterCard hold over our society right now. We let it happen under the sheets. We let it happen in the bathroom stalls like a Republican congressman just looking for some peen. We let it happen all over the place under the guise of free markets and free companies. And now we're reaping the toll. So we need to, I am looking for an expert on that. they're hard to find because who cares, right? Who cares? We need to care. 111, paragraph 111 on page 21 at the bottom, if you're following along at home. Throughout 2018, SPLC's designation of a person or a group as extremist or a hate group have resulted in SPLC's targets being cut off from accepting donations and processing purchases of fundraising merchandise via credit cards issued by MasterCard and Visa. And though online payment processors... Oh, and through... What? They mean through online payment processors, PayPal and Stripe, online crowdfunding mechanisms, Cucktreon and GoCuckMe, and online content monetization systems such as Google AdSense. Google AdSense is the perfect system. Please pay me on the 21st. The SPLC's deplatforming strategy extends beyond mere mailing and online campaigns and the placement of hapless targets on the hate map. SPLC's deplatforming program depends. They should have just stopped it there. SPLC's deplatforming program is adult diapers. Depends on the cooperation of a cowed corporate sector, virtue signaling social media managers, and a technocratic stranglehold on virtually every organ of public and potential influence in the United States. So someone for $1.99 said message retracted. Can I read it before it got retracted? I can't. Dang it! Someone sent a super chat that said message retracted. Oh! Nope, that's not Toast Bill Clinton, says opinion on Woodford Reserve. I'm not sure. Man, I'm not sure what that one was, and I wish I knew. It didn't even come through Streamlabs. Thank you for the message retracted super chat. I love those because it means you said something that would offend somebody. And that's what talking is all about. Now, grab your organs, folks. We got 11 minutes left. If you can finish before me, congratulations. According to a June of 2018 report by Peter Hassan, 4 of the world's biggest social media platforms, Facebook, Amazon, Google, and Twitter, have established working... I hate when people call it the twatter. Twitter have established working partnerships with SPLC, which is deems an external expert that informs the platform's hate speech policies. 1-2 says it was the same question with a typo. Thank you, Toast Bill Clinton, then for the redundant chat and for correcting your typo. Okay. Oh, and did I say Toast Bill Clinton's chat? I'll say it again just in case because he sent it twice. Opinion on Wordford Reserve. Woodford. So that had a typo in it too. Woodford Reserve. Is it Wordford? Whichever one it is. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the Woodford or Wordford Reserve. It's stepbrother. V called out? Where was V called out? Oh, does he call it the twatters? You guys can like it all you want. I don't like it. Upon information and belief, the application of an SPLC hate designation automatically renders a charity ineligible for Amazon Smiles donations. Similarly, Twitter lists SPLC as a safety partner. And safety partner is about the lamest thing I've ever heard. And acknowledges that SPLC advises Twitter in a manner not disclosed by either Twitter or SPLC to combat, quote, hateful conduct and harassment. Oh, thank God. Thank God for the watchful eye of the SPLC is helping Twitter police, because Twitter's not doing good enough of a job. Google, which owns the YouTube, uses SPLC to help police hate speech on YouTube as part of YouTube's Trusted Flagger program. Whoa! almost Freudian slipped right into that anus. As shown below in specific reference to how the SPLC's attack on Mr. McInnes affected him. SPLC exerts similar influence on numerous other online platforms and payment platforms. On information and belief, being victimized by what? That's a weird thing. They don't have a paragraph there. On information and belief, being victimized by application of an SPLC hate designation renders a company or individual almost certain to be banned by Twitter, Google, and their related services and platforms. Toast Bill Clinton says, made a spelling mistake. Nick Gers, Fuuk V. I think that's how you pronounce that accent. What is that accent called? I can't remember with the up, down. It's not aigu grave. That's the aigu, the grave. What's the... Oh, man, I don't remember what it's called. Any Frenchies out there? Any JF Garipe fans who can help me with what that accent is called? 7 minutes. The most recent manifestation, and SPLC only loves manifestation. Oh, this is the section changing the terms of free speech. The most recent manifestation of SPLC's comprehensive deplatforming and defunding campaign is its Change the Terms program, unveiled in October of 2018, and which SPLC refers to as, quote, a set of policy recommendations to help social media and other internet companies reduce hateful activities on their platforms. Get raped. Get out. Get out. Get out. Increase the hateful activities. Let the hate flow through you. Turn to the dark side. Whatever cuckery you need. Stop it. Stop policing speech. Stop it. It's not your job. It's not your role. You're not good at it. SPLCs, and now we're just apostrophizing. We're apostrophizing and evangelizing. Has dedicated a webpage on its website to change the terms, and has set up a separate site under the domain www.changetheterms.org. That's the CTT website. Upon information, the CIT website. Oh my God, it's the next line. It's the next line. Circonflex is what I'm getting on that accent. Upon information, the CIT website is another source or anticipated source of SPLC revenue. According to the CTT website, Change the Terms is based on the premise that, quote, most tech companies are committed to providing a safe and welcoming space for all users. That's because you pieces of trash will defund them if they just provide a space for all users. You have to have the moral policing, because if you don't have it, you won't let them exist. And I hate you for it. God, I want people to call me all sorts of racial slurs. Why are you depriving me of my right to be discriminated against? I hate you. Oh, God, I don't even want it in Minecraft anymore. Just get harpooned by some diddling porn star or something. But when tech companies try to regulate content arbitrarily without civil rights expertise or without sufficient resources, they can exacerbate the problem. The clear implication is that the SPLC is the non-arbitrary source of civil rights expertise and resources positioned to solve the supposed problem identified in the preceding paragraph. And it is a supposed problem. No one is actually hate speeched online. If you don't like someone's speech, just block them. Just block them. Okay. 123. According to the SPLC's Change the Terms webpage, white supremacists are using online platforms for hate. It's time to change the terms, as shown below. Because the caps locked it. The caps locked it. The caps locked it. Why am I being called a Jew? I don't even know. Oh, the only thing Jewish about me is this nose, y'all. SPLC's Change the Terms homepage includes, as shown below, a downward pointing arrow that suggests that the content on the page at which it points substantiates SPLC's quoted assertion regarding white supremacists. The text below the arrow, as shown above on the Change the Terms website's homepage, states as follows: reducing hate online. Reducing hate online. As internet platforms provide more opportunities for people around the world to connect, they've also provided a forum for certain groups to spread hate, fear, and abusive behavior. Lilium says the grav, which looks like E with the downward accent, and it goes backwards, and the aigu, which looks like E and faces forwards. Yeah, I know. What's the one that does both? Is that circumflex? That's what someone said. I don't know if that's true. But it's got the up and the down. Okay. The deadly neo-Nazi march in Charlottesville, Virginia was organized with the use of Facebook, PayPal, and Discord. The violent Proud Boys group vets new applicants through Facebook and have seen an uptick in applications since summer 2018. Some technology companies have made steps in the right direction to reduce hateful activities online. That would be the left direction. But more work needs to be done. Over the past year, the Change the Terms coalition. I mean, how gay are you that you need a coalition? Has met with experts on terrorism, human rights, and technology around the world to gather insights on how hate operates online and how it can be stopped. The result of those conversations was the creation of recommended corporate policies. They're not recommended, though. You shut down sites that don't use them. In terms of service to ensure that social media platforms, payment service providers, and other internet-based services are not places where hateful activities and extremism can grow. That's a circumflex. Lol, looks like, yes, that's it. Thank you, Lilium, for confirming that. It's been so long since I took French. So long. All right, guys. It's 1:30. We're at paragraph 126. We're on page 25. The bottom of page 25. I think I need to wrap it up. Well, we'll finish this one. Following the arrow and scrolling down the homepage of the Change the Terms website reveals 3 photographs as shown below. Look at Gavin with the hand, with the fist. I've never made that gesture in my life. Don't know why he would do that. I love this person getting absolutely clobbered by a riot shield. Oh. If you don't believe hate online is real, tell that to the 11 dead in Pittsburgh shooting. Respond to that, Nick. You mean the people who were killed in the synagogue? Okay. I don't believe that was hate online. I believe that was hate in real life. That was shooting someone. But okay, whatever. He was radicalized online. Sure, buddy. Okay. Here's the thing. I don't care if someone was radicalized online. I don't care. I don't care. The freedom of speech trumps the radicalization of someone. I'm sorry. It does. I don't know what to tell you. And the FBI agrees. Of course the FBI agrees. Who cares? The FBI. The FBI agrees with a lot of stuff. The FBI agrees with anything that helps them get a conviction. If you ever look to law enforcement, like real talk, no matter what you think, if you ever look to law enforcement for advice on what laws should be enforced or how things should happen, I don't know what to tell you other than stop. Other than stop. Anyway. All right, guys. All right, guys. Oh, well, Ryan AI Biot says the shooter believed conspiracy theories he saw posted online. Well, I guess, what do we got to do? If anybody's got a conspiracy theory, I guess they need a bullet in their head, right? What? Well, heaven forbid. Heaven forbid they have an opinion that differs from anything. Who cares? Oh, I'm sorry that he shot people, but that's a broken man up here. We can't solve broken people. Can't do it. Doesn't mean you get to silence everybody else. If you want your safety prioritized over your freedom, move. Move. Get out. Get out of my country. 'Cause it's not yours if you don't adhere to the basic principles. That's all I have to say. There are countries who will grab you by the penis and protect you all day from the mean words online. They're out there. Go to China. Go somewhere that's too poor to even have internet, if that's what you need. See how well it works for you. America says we don't value that safety over the right to say dangerous things. So, with all of the respect I can muster, go somewhere that does. Go be safe. Go be safe-spaced somewhere else. No one will stop you. No one wants to. Get out. Get out. Anyways, guys, thank you. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for watching. I will see what happens if we finish covering this tomorrow. Probably, unless something big happens. There's some short videos coming out very soon. I really appreciate, of course, you spending time with me. Tomorrow's stream might go the 3 hours or longer. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm so tired from travel, guys. I gotta cash it in for the night. Gotta cash it in for the night. But stay tuned. Stay tuned to what's going on. We got a couple chats to finish up. If you don't follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter. If you have not subscribed to the channel on YouTube, please come subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Even if you watch on Stream Me and just happen to have a lingering YouTube account that you don't care about, the numbers really do help and matter. So please do that. Also like the video if you like this stuff. I hate asking for that. It doesn't matter to me, like whether that, like, I would do this with 0 likes, but if you like it, like in your mind, it helps the algorithms get the show out to other people. So okay, Dick Fingers says, get out if you cannot adhere. Yes, get out. The Coke Master. Well, I apologize for like several streams calling you the Cock Master. The Coke Master says, I hate when people are like, we got to do something after things like shootings. Something bad happens, so give up your freedom. Me too. VG did not add a message. Thank you, VG. I really appreciate it. Also, thanks for watching and providing your witty witticisms throughout the stream. Landoname says, I missed it. I'll be here tomorrow, Nick. Night. Good night, buddy. Good night. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I will see you tomorrow, again, 11 p.m. Central, and going until, 1, 2 in the morning Central. We'll probably finish this document unless something massive happens. We'll see you guys. See you guys soon. Peace.